You step barefoot onto the sun-baked earth, your senses alive to every rustle, every scent. A sudden searing pain shoots through your ankle. You instinctively recoil, pulling your foot back as a small, dark shape, coiled and camouflaged, vanishes into the tall grass. A cold dread washes over you. For your ancestors, this wasn't a hypothetical scenario, a distant danger. This was an immediate, terrifying reality, a constant threat woven into the fabric of daily life. For hundreds of thousands of years, the world was both your larder and your potential tomb. Every plant, every creature, held the dual promise of sustenance or suffering. You didn't have sterile hospitals or readily available antidotes. Your very survival hinged on an intimate, often brutal, education in the natural world. How did your ancient body, your ancient mind, navigate this perilous landscape? How did they distinguish between a life-giving berry and a deadly poison? The answer lies in a vast, unwritten library of knowledge, painstakingly compiled over countless generations. Your ancestors were the original scientists, conducting experiments with every foraging trip, every new encounter. They observed, they tested, they remembered, they learned through trial and error, through the painful lessons of illness, and sometimes through the ultimate sacrifice of a loved one. This wasn't abstract learning. It was visceral, etched into their collective memory, and passed down through direct experience. Imagine the sheer volume of information your ancient brain had to process and retain. Which fungi were safe to eat after rain? Which roots caused stomach cramps? And which offered vital nutrients? Which insect stings were merely painful, and which could lead to paralysis or death? This knowledge wasn't recorded in books or databases. It was embedded in stories, in warnings whispered around the campfire, in the careful demonstrations of elders. It was a living, breathing encyclopedia, constantly updated and refined. Ethnobotanists like Richard Evans Schultes, who dedicated his life to studying indigenous plant knowledge in the Amazon, have revealed the astonishing depth of this ancestral wisdom. He documented how traditional societies possess an intricate understanding of thousands of plant species, their medicinal properties, their toxic effects, and the precise methods for their preparation. This isn't guesswork. It's a sophisticated system of empirical observation and cumulative experience, honed over millennia. Your ancient relatives were the first pharmacists, the first toxicologists, meticulously mapping the chemical landscape of their environment. Archaeological discoveries also offer tantalizing glimpses into this ancient relationship with plants. At sites like Shanidar Cave in Iraq, the burial of a Neanderthal individual contained clusters of pollen from several flowering plants, some of which are known to have medicinal properties. While the exact interpretation of these findings is debated, whether they were offerings or evidence of intentional medicinal use, they undeniably point to a deep, complex interaction between early humans and their botanical surroundings. Your ancient kin were not merely passive inhabitants. They were active explorers, constantly experimenting and learning from the world around them. So, let's reconstruct a moment, a scene from your deep past. You are a young hunter-gatherer, perhaps 40,000 years ago, searching for edible tubers near a sun-dappled riverbank. As you reach into a tangle of roots, a sharp, burning pain erupts on your forearm. You pull back your hand to see two small puncture marks, already swelling, and a small, dark viper slithering rapidly away into the undergrowth. A wave of nausea hits you, your heart pounds, and your arm begins to throb with an intense, spreading ache. You recognize the signs. You've seen this before in others. Panic threatens to overwhelm you, but you remember the teachings. You know you must return to the camp, quickly but calmly. Your community gathers around you, their faces etched with concern, but also with a quiet, practiced determination. An elder, perhaps a woman with eyes that have seen countless seasons, examines your arm. She doesn't have a syringe or an IV drip. Instead, she sends a younger member to collect specific leaves from a nearby shrub, known for its anti-inflammatory properties. Another is dispatched to find a particular type of clay from the riverbed. When the materials are brought, the elder carefully chews some of the leaves, creating a thick poultice, which she then applies directly to the bite wound. She might then cover it with the cool, damp clay, binding it gently with strips of bark. She instructs you to lie still, to keep the affected limb elevated, and to drink a bitter infusion made from another plant, known to induce sweating and help cleanse the body. The community watches, their collective experience and quiet support a powerful balm. They understand that some bites are fatal, some are not, and that the best they can do is support your body's own incredible capacity for healing. This wasn't always about finding a miraculous cure. Often, it was about managing the symptoms, preventing secondary infections, and providing comfort and psychological reassurance. The power of the human body's own immune system, coupled with the profound psychological effect of communal care and belief, were potent forces in survival. Your ancestors understood that facing such dangers was rarely an individual struggle. It was a collective endeavor. This wasn't always about finding a miraculous cure. Often, it was about managing the symptoms, preventing secondary infections, and providing comfort and psychological reassurance. The power of the human body's own immune system, coupled with the profound psychological effect of communal care and belief, were potent forces in survival. Your ancestors understood that facing such dangers was rarely an individual struggle. It was a collective endeavor. The days that followed your viper bite would be a blur of fever, pain, and careful tending. Your community would watch over you, bringing you water, changing your poultice, and whispering stories of others who had recovered. This shared experience, this collective memory of danger and healing, was the bedrock of their medical knowledge. Every successful recovery, every managed illness, reinforced their understanding and refined their practices. What did they learn from your recovery? What new observation was added to their vast, unwritten pharmacopoeia? This deep practical knowledge wasn't just about plants and animals. It extended to the very landscape itself. Your ancestors understood the subtle cues of their environment. The type of soil where certain medicinal plants thrived, the specific rock formations that harbored dangerous creatures, the seasonal changes that brought new threats or new remedies. They were intimately connected to their world, reading it like an open book. This wasn't just survival. It was a profound ecological literacy. Consider the work of James Sussman, an anthropologist who has studied contemporary hunter-gatherer societies. He highlights their deep, encyclopedic knowledge of their environment, often knowing the names and properties of hundreds, if not thousands, of plant and animal species. This isn't academic knowledge, it's lived knowledge, passed down through generations, essential for daily existence. Your ancient mind was wired for this kind of learning, constantly seeking patterns, constantly updating its internal database of what was safe and what was perilous. But how did they acquire this knowledge in the first place? It was a slow, painstaking process, often involving deliberate experimentation. A new berry found? A small amount might be tasted by an elder, carefully observed for any adverse effects. A strange root? Perhaps it was applied to a wound on an animal first, or tested on someone already gravely ill, where the risk was deemed acceptable. This was science in its rawest form: hypothesis, experiment, observation, conclusion, and the stakes were always life or death. This constant negotiation with danger also led to a counterintuitive twist. Some of the most dangerous substances were also the most valuable. Take, for instance, certain plant toxins. While deadly in large doses, in minute, carefully controlled quantities, they could act as powerful pain relievers, sedatives, or even stimulants. The line between poison and medicine was incredibly fine, a razor's edge walked by those with generations of accumulated wisdom. Your ancestors weren't just avoiding danger, they were mastering it, extracting utility from the very things that could harm them. Think of the psychoactive plants used in rituals, or the venoms used in traditional medicine in some cultures today. These aren't random discoveries. They are the result of meticulous observation and daring experimentation, passed down through an unbroken chain of knowledge. This wasn't about finding a single cure-all. It was about understanding the complex interplay of chemistry and biology, long before those words even existed. This deep-seated caution, this innate biophobia, a term coined by biologist Wilson to describe our evolutionary aversion to certain natural elements like snakes, spiders, and heights, still resides within you. Why do you instinctively recoil from a spider, even a harmless one? Why does the sight of a snake trigger a primal alarm, even if you're safe behind glass? It's not just learned behavior from childhood. It's a whisper from your ancient past, a survival mechanism honed over millennia, a legacy of countless encounters with venomous creatures and toxic plants. Your body remembers the stakes. Today, you might worry about food allergies, chemical spills, or the side effects of modern medications. Your ancestors worried about the silent, creeping paralysis of a neurotoxin, the agonizing burn of a caustic plant, or the sudden, incapacitating pain of a scorpion sting. They didn't have the luxury of ignorance. Their lives depended on knowing their world intimately, on reading its subtle signs, and on passing that vital knowledge down. That primal fear, that instinctive recoil, still echoes in your modern body, a testament to the countless times your ancestors navigated the wild, learning to survive the hidden dangers lurking beneath every step. That primal fear, that instinctive recoil, still echoes in your modern body, a testament to the countless times your ancestors navigated the wild, learning to survive the hidden dangers lurking beneath every step. You might not encounter a venomous snake on your daily commute, but the quickening of your pulse at an unexpected sound, the sudden tension in your muscles when startled, these are ancient reflexes. They are the biological inheritance of a world where vigilance was life. Your modern world has largely tamed these immediate physical threats. You rely on doctors, pharmacists, and regulated food supplies. The intimate experiential knowledge of every plant and creature, once vital for survival, has faded for most. You no longer need to identify a specific leaf to counteract a scorpion's venom, or recognize the subtle markings of a toxic mushroom. This vast, intricate library of natural wisdom, once held in the minds of your ancestors, is now largely lost to you. Yet the capacity for such learning, the deep-seated curiosity about the natural world, and the innate drive to understand and mitigate danger remain. They are part of your human legacy. When you read about a new medical breakthrough, or marvel at the resilience of traditional cultures, you are tapping into that ancient wellspring of observation and adaptation. You are, in a way, still conducting experiments, still seeking to understand the complex interplay of life and death. So, the next time you walk through a park, or even just your garden, consider the ground beneath your feet. For your ancestors, every patch of earth was a lesson, every rustle a potential challenge, every plant a puzzle. They learned to read the world with their entire being, their survival depending on it. You may not feel the same cold dread, but the echoes of that ancient vigilance, that profound connection to the Earth's hidden dangers and remedies, still resonate within you. Your body remembers how to navigate the wild, even if your mind has forgotten the specific steps.